the president of the ANC Veterans League, Dr. Snuki Zikalala, who talks to us from Johannesburg. Dr. Zikalala, thank you very much for your time. I'm not going to try and put words in your mouth. I'd like you to reflect on the developments that occurred overnight and into the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chloe, and good morning to your viewers. I think, as you rightly said, is that the African National Congress has requested its members to be calm and also to respect the apex court. And also we are happy that the former president decided on his own that he should hand himself over to the police so that he starts serving his 15-month sentence. I think it should be made clear that we as members of the African National Congress and as former controversies, we were saddened that it had to come to this, because it should not have come to this. This is our comrade. We worked with him. He was one of those who ensured that we have this democracy, participated in negotiations. It brought about peace in KZN, as you know, during the time when there was violence. But unfortunately, he found himself entangled in a lot of issues, instead of issues of state capture. And actually, he's the one who initiated state capture. And the 54th Conference of the African National Congress made it very clear that all of us who are being summoned to appear in front of the State Capture Commission, we should oblige. Yeah. But unfortunately, he denied to do so. He declined to do so. And now he's been charged for contempt of court, and has been sentenced to 15 months imprisonment at Escort jail. It's unfortunate that it has to come to that. And of course, we are saying to members of the African National Congress that we as African National Congress believe in the rule of law, believe in our constitutional democracy, and that the constitutional democracy is the supreme law of the country. Yeah. And so the constitutional court is the supreme law of the country, and it should not be trampled upon, because thousands of our people died for this constitution to be there, and we should uphold our constitutional democracy.
Dr. Zikalala, as I speak to you, and having read the headlines just at the top of 10 o'clock, the breaking news, of course, is the statement coming from the African National Congress, which is calling for calm. Is there reasonable apprehension from within the ranks of the ANC that those who have supported the former president and did not want this to happen may possibly call for retribution?
No, not really, not really. You saw what happened over the weekend. Some of our branches, especially in KZN, violated the COVID rules, regulations. And some of the so-called MKMVA people who started behaving like counter-revolutionaries. And these are young people who cannot claim and say they're NK people, because they have, some of them are 30 years of age, 40 years of age. And so basically the message is directed to them that they should be calm. We should allow the rule of law. And the branch leaders, especially of the ANC in the country, not only in KZN, are going to be dispatched to address their members on this issue. It's a very sensitive issue, it's a delicate issue. But people should know that we serve the African National Congress, not individuals. And we serve the ideology and the policy and the principles of the African National Congress, not individuals. If the individuals find themselves on the wrong side of the law, they must be held accountable. Yeah. That's what is important, because no one is above the African National Congress, and no one is above the law. And so the message is directed to all members of the African National Congress that it's said that one of us is serving 15 months imprisonment. Yeah. But the comrade made his own choice. And so what can we do?
Dr. Zikalala, you're choosing your words very carefully there. You're saying this is a sensitive and a delicate issue. Just this week, coming out of this special NEC, which discussed this very matter, the Deputy Secretary-General, Jesse Duarte, coming out to say that, or to call for respect of the leadership in KwaZulu-Natal. Clearly, that points to some difficulty that Sihle Zikalala and the leadership he leads in KZN. What's your assessment of the situation in that province right now? How tense is the situation?
Well, I would say that one should not undermine and lie to say that there's no tension there. Sihle and Comrade Ndumiseni Ntuli, they've tried their best. As you know, that's an area where the former president was campaigning at. That's an area where the his trials were being held. That's where rallies were being held, where he, unfortunately, he said he's prepared to go to jail. He's not afraid of going to jail. That's where emotions were hyped. And so Comrade Sihle, Zikalala and Comrade Ndumiseni Ntuli have to deal with those issues. And unfortunately for them, they were not in a position to say to the President Zuma, Comrade President Zuma, you are now criminally charged and you cannot address masses. You cannot be in a position to speak on behalf of the organization, because that was a national issue. That is the African National Congress at the national level, which should have taken that decision and made it clear that he's not allowed to address meetings, as it was done with Comrade Ace Magashule, saying that immediately if you have stepped down, you cannot address members of the African National Congress, no members of the public on behalf of the African National Congress until you have cleared your name. And so they are in a very, very precarious position, and we definitely, that's why the African National Congress said the team that is working in KZN must be bolstered, and they work hard, especially at branch level, and explain to our people at branch level that it's not the African National Congress that is at fault, it's not our law that is at fault, but it's an individual who decided not to appear in front of the Zondo Commission. And of course, that's a contempt of court. And the court has to deal with it, because we're all equal before the law. And so that's what is important for us. And of course, we'll all go down and support Comrade Sihle and Comrade Ndumiseni Ntuli.
Yeah. Yesterday, we saw some drastic action from the ANC, deciding to suspend temporarily the membership of Carl Niehaus. You mentioned the suspended Secretary-General, Ace Magashule's name. I'm just wondering whether you are aware of possible further action that could be taken against him. The party saying that they want him to explain exactly what his words were and perhaps what they meant when he addressed on the stage on Sunday. Do you know, or are you aware of any possible action that could come in the way or the direction of Ace Magashule?
Well, as you know, that Comrade Ace Magashule, when he was requested to step aside, one of the conditions was that he should not address members of the ANC nor the public, because now he's a suspended member of the African National Congress, and he's facing he's got criminal charges and is due to appear in court, and so he cannot be the face of the ANC. But the comrade decided not to obey the instructions of the African National Congress, and so the National Disciplinary Committee must then act and act appropriately to make sure that no one undermines the instructions of the African National Congress. And
I take it you're saying he's going to be disciplined further.
Well, that's, in as far as we're concerned, that should happen, because he has violated the suspension conditions. He has done that, and has done that arrogantly so. And he's been divisive in KZN, where he told branch leaders that they should not take instructions from the leadership of the ANC. If they say they should dissolve, if they don't cooperate, they should dissolve if the branch itself does not meet the high standards of branch membership. That's being divisive within the African National Congress, and that should not be allowed. Especially now when we are going for local government elections, especially now when we had to elect 10,000 councillors, especially now when we are bringing back the integrity and values of the African National Congress within our own society.
Yeah. Dr. Zikalala, Ace Magashule is already on suspension. Are you saying that there could be something much more drastic that could come? And if so, what is it? Are you able to spell it out for us? Because it's quite clear that there is obviously action that's being taken.
No. Even Comrade Jesse said, I think, during the press conference, that they'll have a discussion with him because he has violated the conditions of suspension. He has violated conditions of suspension. One of the conditions of suspension is that he must not address any media, neither ANC gatherings, which he has. And so then the disciplinary committee of the African National Congress must be able to take action as soon as possible. That's what it means. He has made his bed, he must lie on it.
Sure. Dr. Zikalala, let's wrap up our discussion. Reflecting on this, there is the view that this action against the former president, that he hands himself over to law enforcement authority, and of course this being a subsequent action as delivered by the order of the Constitutional Court. There are those who are saying that this is a unique opportunity for the country to turn the page against the abuse of power, against corruption. Is that how you view the latest developments, particularly around former President Jacob Zuma?
Well, I think we have turned a new leaf as the African National Congress. And of course, as you know, that the Unity and Renewal, the 54th conference of the African National Congress, we said we should deal with corruption. We should deal with those who are found wanting. And the ANC won these last elections on an anti-corruption campaign. And so now currently the former president, he's not being incarcerated for contempt of court. And unfortunately, more charges on corruption are still coming on his side, unfortunately, which date back in 2000. And more charges may come after the State Capture Commission, where he was the head of state and he was responsible for governing the country, where currently this State Capture Commission was established to investigate what happened within state-owned enterprises when he was the head of state. And so basically all that we're saying is that more is still going to come. Let's wait for the State Capture Commission's report, where individuals who were found wanting, individuals who looted state resources will definitely have to be held accountable, and they'll definitely have to face the consequences. There is no any other way. This is just the beginning, and as far as we're concerned, and this sends a right message to the 10,000 councillors who are going to campaign for the ANC for it to win the elections on the 27th of October, that we believe and abide by the rule of law, and whoever is found on the other side of the law involved in corruption, involved in mass state looting, he'll definitely be held accountable. This is a good example in as far as we are concerned.
Very strong words from you, Dr. Zikalala, but perhaps I just can't resist the question about whether or not there are those within the ranks of the ANC, particularly the top structure, the NEC, who at this time could be pressuring the president, the current president, to say you can't allow the former president at his age to sit in a prison cell in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic. Are there those who are saying that a presidential pardon should be considered?
Well, it has not come forth. And of course, all of us are saying that it's unfortunate that it has happened to him at the age of 79 and this COVID. But as you heard this morning, there was an interview with the correctional service spokesperson. He said they do have cells in terms of isolation cells. That's what he says. He says they're very cautious, making sure that those who have medical conditions are well treated, they're well looked after. And of course, we're all worried about his health. His health comes first. And so in terms of presidential pardon, that has not come forth to the members of the NEC. In the NEC that I attended, it has not come forth. I don't know whether it will come forth, but if individuals want to express those views, they are allowed to do that. But at the same time, all that we are saying, that a message has been sent that no one is above the law.
Dr. Snuki Zikalala, very strong words from Dr. Zikalala, especially around Ace Magashule's conduct, who already is on suspension. Dr. Zikalala clearly pointing to further action. He says he has violated the law. As for the former president,